London, in the United Kingdom. Spring of 2010. There was an Australian man by the name of Julian Assange. He dyed his hair and put on contact lenses to change his eye color. He even put a small rock in his shoes to make his walking style different. He did all of that because he knew that both the American CIA as well as the British MI6 were looking for him. He then wore the outfit of a delivery man, rode his motorcycle, heading towards the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he stayed for 7 whole years to avoid being arrested. Welcome to Mystery Tales, and in this video, we will talk about Julian Assange and how he got arrested. Let's get started. We will start in 2006, the year he founded his website, WikiLeaks. It was meant to be a platform for releasing secret government documents from every country on the planet, including the United States. But Julian wasn't the one directly getting these documents. Instead, he built a safe platform for everyone from spies and hackers to whistleblowers to share sensitive government documents. And since you could access the site from the dark web, anyone sharing these documents was completely anonymous and safe from prosecution. And very soon he received an avalanche of over 250,000 documents from around the world, documents that show corruption and secret operations conducted by government officials. And since the sources of these documents were anonymous, Julian became seen as the only culprit behind these releases. Even Julian himself had no idea who the sources were.
Even I don't know the identity of our sources.
Even after all these leaks, WikiLeaks remained obscure without many people knowing about it. But all that changed in 2010. There was an intelligence analytic officer in the US Army who was stationed in Iraq called Bradley Manning. He had access to a lot of data about the war in Iraq and atrocities there. So he copied the data from the Army's servers and uploaded hundreds of thousands of documents to WikiLeaks. These files were mostly about army operations in Iraq and Afghanistan and more, which was considered the largest leak in history. And it didn't happen to a small government. It happened to the strongest and most influential government in the world. Out of nowhere, a soldier, not even of high rank, managed to leak all that data to the internet and public. Suddenly, the entire world knew what WikiLeaks is, and all eyes were directed at the White House.
This morning, the White House blasting the release of over 90,000 U.S. military records.
They tell a story that some veterans of the region know full well. More civilian deaths than are ever reported, unexplained American deaths, questionable battlefield tactics.
The United States strongly condemns the illegal disclosure of classified information.
Following the release of the Afghan war logs, WikiLeaks announced it is sitting on over 250,000 US diplomatic cables.
Thanks to all these leaks, we found out that the American army didn't go to Iraq to free it, and that the civilian casualties were way more than the government led people to believe. At the time, it was denied that the army kept records of civilian casualties or non-combatant deaths. But these leaks proved that they kept records of these statistics, and the numbers were tens of thousands. People died for no reason. Entire families ended for nothing. Which explains why the US military didn't want anyone to find out about these files. They knew that such documents could make the US public that was once supporting this war could turn on it, which would have been a political nightmare for the entire government, from the White House to the Congress. All that put a target on Julian because he made the platform that was used to publish all these secret documents. And in 2010 and 11, WikiLeaks became extremely popular, and Julian was even on the cover of the Time and Forbes. The public opinion about Assange was split. Some see him as a brave journalist, seeking the truth and exposing the unjust, and some see him as a traitor and a dangerous man who must be dealt with. One of the people who disliked Assange the most was Hillary Clinton, which made Julian fear for his life if she wins the elections. So he decided to request asylum to the Ecuadorian embassy. Since then, he spent years inside the embassy, and the British police was always surrounding the embassy. So if he tries to escape, They would arrest him immediately. The most he could do was to tell speeches or press conferences from the balcony of the embassy, as you can see in this video. On the other hand, Julian had a very erratic relationship with Trump. One second they love each other,
WikiLeaks! I love WikiLeaks!
and the next they are at each other's throat.
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
It all started in 2016, during the presidential elections in the US, between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. As we mentioned before, Hillary was one of the people who were against Assange. In that time, WikiLeaks released a lot of leaked emails from Hillary's private email account. These emails showed a lot of meddling in foreign affairs and undiplomatic behavior and secret deals behind closed doors. Here is an example of an email where the politics of the Middle East and Afghanistan as well as Russia is discussed. But now, the president's focus is visibly shifting. In the next 18 months, Obama's record abroad will be made or broken by his ability to do business with two nominal US allies, Hamid Karzai and Benjamin Netanyahu. Karzai has become the hardest problem in Obama's Afghanistan surge, one that might be summed up as can't win with him, can't win without him. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu holds the key to whether Israel will be prepared to accept a Palestinian state within the 2-year time frame Obama has established, and also, perhaps, whether Iran's pursuit of nuclear weapons will lead to war. Both men are prickly and somewhat inscrutable. Both know their countries and their own careers depend on support from the United States, but both are also resistant to key elements of Obama's policies. Handling them well requires skillful and subtle diplomacy by the US president and by those who carry out his policies. And Obama has not done well. In fact, his treatment of the Israeli and Afghan leaders during 1 week in late March, immediately after his victory on healthcare, marked a low point of his performance as president. These leaked emails played an important role at allowing Trump to win the elections. At that point, Trump saw Julian as a hero. But as soon as Trump got into the White House, he started working to get Julian Assange arrested. He communicated with the Ecuadorian government to hand Julian to the UK. And after the Ecuador got its new president Moreno, who described Assange as the greatest traitor in Ecuador and Latin America's history. Finally, in 2019, the Ecuador made a deal with the UK to allow British police to go inside and arrest Julian Assange. They went in immediately and arrested him from inside the embassy. He was taken to prison immediately, even though he didn't receive a full trial. There is no clear image of how Assange is or what his condition inside the prison is like. The UN conducted a medical evaluation for him and said that his mental health is deteriorating. Currently, Julian Assange is held in the Belmarsh prison in the UK, which is 45 minutes drive from London. That concludes today's tale about Julian Assange and the founding of WikiLeaks. If you liked the video, please subscribe to the channel or check out our playlist that contain all our videos. Also leave us a comment about any topic you'd like us to cover in the future. This has been Mystery Tales, and see you in the next video.